He's got a lot of credit in the bank because when he came in 8 years ago, the relationship between the England fans, the England team, the players not necessarily being too bothered about playing for England, it was all over the place. And he's absolutely galvanised that, hasn't he? And he's done a lot of positive things, Gareth Southgate. Nobody's going to take that away from him. And we should champion all those things because he made us feel a certain way, didn't he? We all sang the songs. We all maybe bought the waistcoats. We all bought in on it. And we forgave the first tournament where we fell short because of poor in-game management. We had a decent run to that semi-final, didn't we?
Easier run to get there.
All right, I didn't want to say that.
I did.
Listen, we had a decent run to that particular point, but poor in-game management against an ageing Croatian side didn't. It was on him, right?
Yeah.
Learn from those moments. Euros come around. We play Italy in the final. We win. We won games on penalties under Southgate. We've beaten some decent teams under Southgate. We get to the final against Italy. We take the lead, and then we sit and welcome it.
Retreat.
Again, poor in-game management blows that opportunity. Okay, you've had 2 strikes. Let's get it right this third time around. Now, there's still time to get this right. But watching this game the other day against Denmark, I ain't got any hair on my head. And if I did, I'd have pulled it all out. Honestly, it was the most frustrating thing in the world.
He was looking a bit more shinier at the top.
I've made a few notes that I want to go through some key points on this, right? First and foremost, the post-match interview, right? We can all get stuck into the way that the lads played, and we're going to do that. But the post-match interview, think about what Gareth Southgate said yesterday in his post-match interview. We're still experimenting. We don't have a suitable replacement for Kalvin Phillips. Just process that. Process that. This man has been in this job for 8 years. We are now at a major tournament, his third one. And we are experimenting with a key position when you have adequate players who play that role every single week on the bench and actually on the pitch. But instead, he's choosing to play a right-back who his club manager has already conceded. He's not a central midfielder. He's an inverted right-back. They're 2 different roles. Playing right-back and playing inverted, compared to that being an actual central midfield role, are 2 completely different roles. It's unfair on the lad himself in Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it's unfair on this team. But we're experimenting still at a major tournament, and we don't have an adequate replacement for Kalvin Phillips. Now, this is not a dig at Kalvin Phillips. I like him. I think he's a fantastic lad, right? But by his own admission, he has had a diabolical season. Diabolical.
I'm going to go for us say stinking.
He couldn't even get into the West Ham side. And when he did get into the West Ham side, it was absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. If you are an England player in this 26 out there in Germany and you hear your manager saying that he doesn't believe that you are up to the standard of Kalvin Phillips, what are you thinking in that changing room?
My group chat went crazy. People were texting saying, did he actually say this or is this a meme?
No, he said it.
It's not AI. He said it.
AI haven't done this.
I know he said it.
It came out of his mouth.
My group chat was going bananas and I had to record it and say, here you go, boys. Here's the proof. They couldn't believe that those words came out of his mouth.
So if you're Kobe Mainoo, you're Adam Wharton, even the lads that are actually starting maybe out of position, the likes of the Phil Fodens, and you're hearing your manager say that, he doesn't think I'm as good as Kalvin Phillips. He wants Kalvin Phillips here.
I think even Jordan Henderson's going, what's going on here?
It was a ridiculous thing to say. And okay, emotions at the end of the game.
I think it's a panic interview, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Because there was so much pressure.
It's not a good look. Absolutely not a good look. So that post-match interview, you're like, oh, mate, you've just rubber-stamped it. This is absolutely terrible. A terrible, terrible look. The solution is very simple, and it's staring every single person in the face, okay? First and foremost, he made the choice not to take Mitchell from Crystal Palace as a backup left-back, who has been absolutely bang on. He's made that choice himself. So therefore, your point earlier on about playing multiple right-backs, lads out of position, Kieran Trippier having to play at left-back, and Kieran Trippier hasn't had the best of seasons, with all due respect, at Newcastle United, but he's playing out of position at left-back and making a shift of it. All right, fair enough. We can't do anything about that because we don't have adequate cover in the left-back situation. But we do have central midfielders that can play there rather than a right-back, all right? So that's the first thing. And this is not a dig at Trent. He's playing him out of position. It's not your fault, mate. It's the manager's fault. Trent Alexander-Arnold has to come out of midfield. Has to. Yeah. And then Gareth Southgate has a decision to make, right? The solution is simple. Foden, Bellingham, Rice. Midfield 3. We've been saying it all along. Everybody's been saying it along. Go and ask anybody who watches football, plays football, knows the game. Foden, Bellingham, Rice. That's it.
We're going to say it again, guys.
Foden, Bellingham, Rice. There are your midfield three. Okay? The geezer on the left-hand side, Anthony Gordon. That's the guy that I would play. Maybe other people would disagree. But he's the most informed, left-sided attacker. He goes backwards as well, you know. He's prepared to put a shift in, this kid. He's prepared to do some defending, which I know Southgate absolutely appreciates. But the best thing about it, he'll get some chalk on his boots. He'll stay out wide where you want him to be.
That's where he's been playing.
And when we isolate him one-on-one with a defender, he'll have a go at him and try and take him on.
That's what he's been doing the whole season.
Now remember, Mr. Southgate decided not to take Jack Grealish. Okay, fair enough. You might not think that he's up to the scratch right now. I personally thought he was coming into some type of form at the end of the season. But you made the decision. It was big. It was bold. Fair enough. You have got the ready-made replacement there in Anthony Gordon. Yeah, he's a bit different than Grealish. He's got a bit more pace. He might not be as tricky. But he'll run at people and he will stay in the position, and he's playing in that position for his club. Now, if Gareth Southgate doesn't think it's Foden, Bellingham, Rice, he has to then make a decision whether he's dropping Foden or Bellingham.
You have to. He has to step up.
That's what he's got to do. You can't play them, but you can't shoehorn these people in. What is the point in shoehorning the best player in the Premier League or one of the best players in La Liga out of... What's the point in shoehorning them into these random positions? No point.
You play Foden off the left. He comes drifting into the 10. You're playing Bellingham in the 10. You're playing two players... vital players in the same position.
Not only that.
So you're kind of missing out.
Not only that, because you centre forward all of a sudden, he fancies himself as a midfielder as well.
It's like going to Curry's and going to buy an Apple Mac and then try and run Windows XP. This is what he's doing. You just don't.
He's got all the hardware, but he's running the wrong software. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, he's got an Apple Mac. Open it. It's gone ping. Apple's logos came on.
Got a virus.
And now he's going, right, Microsoft. How do I get Windows on here? It's just, you know, it's.
While we're still on personnel, right? And this was another incredibly frustrating thing for me watching this yesterday. Harry Kane, fantastic goal scorer.
Yeah.
Right? He's a fantastic footballer.
He is.
But he does not need to be as busy as he is trying to be. Yesterday, he's dropping into midfield and clogging up the space for the likes of the Bellinghams and the Fodens and the Sakas. You don't need to be there, mate. Go and be a number 9. The goal that we conceded, whose fault was that? Harry Kane, getting busy, receiving the ball off a throw-in in the left-back area. Got plenty of other players to receive that football and go and play through the midfield. Stop coming into areas that do not concern you. This is a conversation, though, for Gareth Southgate. He's got to put his big boy pants on. He's got to get hold of these egos, these top-class players, these lads that are playing at elite clubs, playing for top competitions, and say, hang on, this is not the role I'm asking you to do, mate, in this team. We've got Jude Bellingham. We've got Foden. We've got Saka. They're more than capable of playing football in those areas that I want them to play football. I want you to stand up there and put ball in net when it comes.
Yeah,
Stop coming in here.
You look at France, and they've got multiple Champions League who've just won the Champions League with Real Madrid sitting on the bench. They're not playing on merit because they've won the La Liga and they're being outstanding. They're not playing because for his team they don't fit in that role as what they've got already. As to Jermaine and Kavinga could be playing, but they're playing Kante there instead because
he does the job that he wants him to do.
But you could say, but he's playing in Saudi, and then
it works
two
for my
teams
team,
won the Champions League. But Deschamps is saying it works for my team. You've got to be. That's what good managers do. See what their team they've got. See what they're working with. Go right. You're a great player, but my team, the way I want to play, this is going to be better. He's got to step up to the plate and be prepared to drop a star.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to just be doing the same thing and I'm going to be honest, saying the same thing. He needs to go. He needs to get the sack. What do you expect?
03717 223344. This is not finished because I'm going to talk about being in possession, out of possession, all sorts of things that absolutely went disastrously wrong. But let's concentrate first and foremost on personnel. Changes need to be made. You know that. I know that. Everybody around this knows that. And I'm sure Gareth Southgate knows that. What changes would you make? What starting 11 do you want to see in the final group game? 03717 223344. Get in contact with the show.
Was ist das? talkSPORT?